Perfect. Thank you, Jenny, for doing all the technical stuff. Welcome everyone to our Monday night Team Fireball call. I do have a little PowerPoint, so I'm going to share my screen. Let's see. And there you go. All right. Perfect. All right. So welcome everyone. Just very briefly, my name's Alice Beretta, Pro5 with LifeVantage. I love what I do here. I absolutely love my team. I love sharing this information with people. But I'm also an equine veterinarian, mom of 2 boys and a wife. So life is exciting, sometimes a little crazy, and it's kind of nice to have the shorter days to kind of remind us to slow down a little. So our fall is coming to a close. I'm a little bit sad, but I'm hoping it'll last a few more days. We've got some warm weather this week. And now all of a sudden it feels like summer. So it's a little confusing here in Georgia. Hopefully your seasons are behaving a little bit better than ours. I know you guys are having some snow in Nevada, so that might be even more crazy than summer weather. I'm not sure. But it is November, so I guess it's just kind of one of those things where you get what you get. But I'm so happy that we can all come together in the same place from all the different places and be together and just talk about what works for us, help inspire each other to grow. And I love being here. So thank you if you're here in person right here on the Zoom, or if you're listening to the replay, we appreciate you and appreciate you taking the time. So I wanted to start with, I was kind of thinking about what I was going to talk about today, and it kind of morphed into something really beautiful. But before I get started, I wanted to say congratulations to Carol Betts, Janae Rhodes, and Christy Simpson. Good job, ladies. Good job for having new enrollments this week and for sharing this information. And this is how we grow. So congratulations. So excited for all of you. And I picked this slide or this background because it had little butterflies on it. And what was kind of heavy on my heart and what just seemed to impact me this week was the concept of the butterfly effect. And the butterfly effect was actually a study that was done, gosh, I can't remember, like early 60s, that talked about, the theory was that when a butterfly flaps its wings, that the movement that it creates could, after lots of time and distance, create a much bigger phenomenon and could affect bigger weather changes like a hurricane or move a tornado. And people laughed at that. And then later on, some physicists actually proved that it was possible. And it just talked about how the impact of small movements can create huge change. And Andy Andrews really expanded on that and wrote a book called The Butterfly Effect. And if you guys haven't read any Andy Andrews or haven't seen him in person, he is just a phenomenal storyteller. I really, really enjoyed listening to him and learning from him. But he says that every single thing that you do matters. You have been created as one of a kind. You have been created in order to make a difference. You have within you the power to change the world. And I love that concept. And I was, reading some Facebook posts the other day, and I have a Facebook contact called Jen Willis. And she has MS. She's a 50-year-old lady with 3 kids, I believe, a wife and mother of 3, who love the outdoors, love to climb mountains. And I think it was in her 20s, she was diagnosed with MS, and it completely changed her life's projections and her outlook on life. And, just gave her a completely different perspective. And it was just really hard news at such a young age. and she became kind of bound and determined to climb for a cause. And she wanted to climb um, the Himalayan mountains that she fell in love with when she was in her 20s. And she said, this disease is not going to hold me back, and I'm going to make a difference, and I'm going to climb for a cure. And so all of her excursions are to raise awareness and money for MS and medical research. And I found her on Facebook. And if it wasn't for LifeVantage, I probably would not have made an effort to follow her and really take a look at her posts. But she's really become an inspiration to me because the stuff that she's doing is incredible in itself. But on top of that, she's 50, has 3 kids and a family, and has MS. And, you know, that's kind of a lifelong difficult battle. And I just feel like she's such an inspiration and someone that I want to share LifeVantage with. But right now, she's in the middle of climbing this gigantic Himalayan mountain in Nepal. And so I feel like I need to wait till she gets home to send her some studies. But she's in the middle of this incredible adventure that started October 12th. And the peak that she's trying to climb is called Amadablam. And she's supposed to reach it around November 25th. And it's 6,812 meters. I'm not sure how many kilometers that is. I mean, how many miles that is. Um, but this is a peak that she fell in love with when she was in her 20s. And she said, I'm going to come back and I'm going to climb this one day. And she gave herself this deadline of 50 years of age. And so she started October 12th. She summited this Mara peak that's 6,460 meters. But unfortunately, she got COVID. And so she really like finished that peak while coughing and hacking. And she had this cold thing that she had gotten from several other people on the climb because they were climbing as a group. And unfortunately, it was COVID and it hit her really hard. And so on day 24, she had to leave the group. She's by herself. She's like staying in these little towns all by herself. And she's having to recover from COVID. And she's away from her family. She's away from the group that she was climbing with. And she's just trying to stay strong. And just the emotional, you know, roller coaster that she is on, being away from home. Her family needs her right now. There's some sort of crisis at home and she can't be there for them. And she also cannot quit, and she wants to get better so she can join a different group. But in the meantime, she's alone. She's trying to get better all on her own. You know, nobody speaks English, you know. She's just trying to find her way on this journey. And every post that I read from her is just so heartfelt. She digs super deep, and she's just such an inspiring person. But this morning, I read one that really hit me hard, and I wanted to share it with you guys because it just made me think of how on our adventures, our mountains that we climb, whether they're true peaks, right, or if they're just the mountains of life, there's hardship and there's difficulty, and we can choose how we deal with those hardships and difficulties. And she posted this today. I'm just going to read it to you guys because I just can't do it justice. But she said, from outside the building, I hear screaming and wailing. Because the language is not my own, I cannot tell immediately if these are sounds of joy or distress. I step towards the open door, discreetly trying to glance inside. I see silhouettes. I see a stick, the shape of a woman, the stick being swung up and down over and over. For a moment, I freeze, overwhelmed by the aggression of this figure, by the wailing I can now tell is a child. I walk towards the door and step inside. The mother is breathless, sweating, her face red, her pupils dilated. The child, a young girl, looks about 8. She's panting, head hung towards the ground, her little body shaking. There is a boy, he looks about 14. His expression is open and welcoming as our eyes meet. I turn to the mother. I have 3 children, I try to tell her through a mix of words and hand signals. It's hard, I try to say, to empathize, to soothe her anger. The mother has stopped beating her child. This is something. I turn to the little girl. Mummies sometimes find it hard. They get upset. But you're just a child. Are you okay? Can I help? Words and hand signals again. I don't know if anything I've said has been understood. But my presence in the home has ended the beating, and a mother and child are both calmer. The mother picks up a comb. She grabs at the girl and starts tugging the comb violently through the daughter's hair. I reach my hand out towards the comb. I have 3, I say again. She hands me the comb and walks into the kitchen. Gently, I finish combing the little girl's hair. The mother comes back into the room holding a hair tie. I reach out and take it from her and carefully tie the little girl's hair up. The girl reaches for the phone on the table. The mother yells at her and moves the phone out of reach. It's okay, I whisper. Leave the phone today. The mother walks outside. She moves heavily, frustration clear in her body. The little girl walks up to her and raises her lips. The mother kisses her. I look towards the brother. He nods, and so I walk away. I've walked only a few meters when I hear the screams of the mother again, followed by the wailing of the little girl. I stop, frozen. The screaming stops, and so I continue up the track towards my destination. I walk slowly, shaken by this experience, needing some time to return to the present. I feel empowered and powerless. For a moment, the little girl was safer. For a moment, I was able to protect her. But I was really just an unwelcome stranger in a very intimate place. I picture the young girl as a mother herself, the same rage thrust into her being, her own little girl shaking. I want to go back to plead with the mother. A man sits outside his home, a tray of bottled water, soft drinks, and juice on his stone fence. He beckons me in, so I sit and drink a can of juice. We chat for just a moment, and I promise I will return on my way back down from Ahmedabad. As I'm walking back out to the track, the little girl and her older brother pass by, hand in hand. They do not see me. From the track behind them, I take out my camera. It's new and I haven't learned how to use it. I press to take a photo, but it's stuck on the timer. As the timer counts down, I continue to zoom towards the boy and the little girl. And just before they're out of sight, the photo takes. I stare at the blurred photo, at the back of the little girl and the ponytail that I tied for her. My heart feels heavy in my chest. I look up and they are out of sight. I let out a breath, the sort that comes out when you realize you've been holding your breath loud and long. I turn to the old man who sold me the juice, smile, wave goodbye, and continue up the path. Again, the theme of expectation strikes me. The complexity of relationships, the struggle of unmet needs, hopes, and desires. The Buddhism loving kindness meditation comes to mind. I will repeat this to myself as I fall to sleep tonight. May you be happy, may you be well, may you be free from suffering, and may you be peaceful and at ease. And so when I read this morning, I just thought about all of the struggles that she's been going through, being away from her family that needs her right now, trying to recover from COVID in Nepal all by herself. Everybody thinks she's contagious and they don't want to come anywhere near her. Nobody's knocking on her door to check on her. Her group has continued to climb without her, and she's truly all alone. And yet, for some reason, she's brave enough to walk into a house, a home that of people she doesn't even know, because she can sense that people are struggling. And just, she has the biggest heart and just the most amazing, she's just on the most amazing journey. And it just made me realize that if she hadn't gotten COVID, and she wasn't there all alone. She wouldn't have heard that little girl's cries, and she wouldn't have intervened. And even though she may not have made a huge impact, she made an impact today. You know, she walked into a stranger's home and she was able to make a difference. Maybe it wasn't a huge difference, but it was a difference. It's something that that little girl will remember, that that mother will remember. And I just had this feeling of this butterfly effect, you know, of this impact on the world, and how we never know where our paths are going to take us, what things are going to happen in our day to make us turn right instead of left, you know, or be late instead of early, or, you know, whatever the day ends up being, or what is in our path. We just never know what kind of opportunity we're going to have to make an impact and make a difference. Um, and so I just really, really had that whole concept of the butterfly effect that just like hit me really hard today. And it just made me think about Andy Andrews and his book, and the few times that I heard him speak, and it was just so impactful and powerful. I found another really cool quote that's about the same, you know, butterfly effect, about how unbelievable that even a very minor event, action, or small shift can have such a tremendous effect. Like a butterfly's wing is capable of altering the path of a tornado, certainly everything, even the very tiny thing, can affect everything. Um, and then when I was looking for something, actually, I was looking for that thing Christy posted about, we were supposed to sign up for something in January. We're supposed to register for some big announcement. Anyway, I was flipping through Facebook. I was going to look for that. And then I got distracted, because you guys know what happens when you start scrolling. Rachel Pekarik had a quote about butterflies. And it's just funny how things just kind of fall into place when your mind is looking for a specific thing. But I just thought it was so beautiful. And it said, butterflies cannot see their own wings. They don't see how beautiful they are, or how they, you know, are seen by the world. But everyone else can, and humans are the same way. So we can't see our wings. We don't realize what kind of effect we have on others. We don't see our own beauty. So it just really kind of like tied it all together in such a beautiful way. And I just had to share it with you guys. So I will definitely be following Jen on the rest of her journey. She's in my prayers and in my thoughts every day. She's just such a beautiful human. And it's crazy because with everything that she's doing and the cause that she is behind, and all of her strength and inspiration, she only has a few followers. There's not a whole lot of people interacting on her page. And I just don't understand why not. So it's just crazy, but I'm following her, and can't wait to share some information with her, because I just feel like she could help so many people. Um, but all right, so now I wanted to talk about No Gain November. Because the holidays are wonderful, but nobody wants all the added extra stuff that comes with the holidays around our midsection. So I just wanted to talk about our fat burn. I really feel like it's one of our products that just we haven't explored and haven't learned enough about. And honestly, I haven't given it a chance. I took it a few times a long time ago when the formula was different. And I think it was the folic acid in it or whatever it was, that made me feel all funny. And so I never took it again. So I haven't given it another chance, and I really should, because the formula is different than it was. And they've made it so that everyone can take it. And so I'm super excited. I've ordered mine. I can't wait for it to get here. But I loved that talk that our R&D people, our VP of R&D did. That interview back and forth was really awesome. And so I just wanted to go over a couple of my notes with you guys. The free shipping is a great way, because otherwise, if you don't have an order of over 150, you're paying for shipping. So take advantage of throwing a bottle of fat burn in there and you get the free shipping. So take advantage of that. That's going on until the rest of the month, I believe. But I just wanted to go over a little bit about the fat burn and what's in it. What's the mechanism of action? How does it work? Why is it so awesome? And the Sinatrol section of the ingredients, that's kind of the main ingredient. And that's why that's the key ingredient, I guess. But it's a blend of citruses. And it was interesting how they talked about how they extract. The extraction is done through crushing and cold compressing so that you don't lose the viability of those active ingredients. So there's grapefruit, sweet orange, blood orange, and guarana. And guarana has very low caffeine because they found there's a synergy between the caffeine and the polyphenols in the citrus fruits. The other thing that was super interesting to me is that they use the young fruits that fall off too early off the trees because those young fruit aren't mature yet. They don't taste very good. But what's interesting about them is they have higher levels of polyphenols. So they're even more effective. So even though they don't taste very good, they're perfect for, extracting, for using for the fat burn. And just the whole concept of the citrus fruit was inspired by the Mediterranean diet, where they eat a lot of like grapefruit and citrus fruits for breakfast, and they have healthy metabolisms and tend to be healthier people on the Mediterranean diets. As well as Sinatrol, there's green coffee bean extract to help with the caffeine and maintain your blood sugar levels and promote fat burn. And the B vitamins are used as coenzymes for the metabolic processes. Those are B3 and B6. Then they talked about the clinical studies. Those are really cool. Those are new studies. There have been tons and tons of studies over the last 10 years. But now we're getting to the point where they're human studies. And so we've kind of moved from the in vitro. It's such a slow progression, you guys. It's crazy. But we've moved to the human studies. And there was one in Spain that the amount that was used in that Korean study and in that Spanish study is the amount that's in our fat burn. So it's comparable. We have an efficacious dosage in our fat burn. We're not just like fairy dusting where you put a little bit of the ingredient in there just so you can put it on the label. We're using the same amount that's in those studies. So the people in the studies had no change in their diet or exercise, but they had an increase in resting caloric expenditure of 180 calories per day. So without any change in exercise or activity level, they were burning 180 calories more per day, which is awesome because that really, levels up your playing field, gives you the extra edge. And reduction in total fat by 5%. But what was remarkable about that is that 65% of the fat that was lost was fat around the midsection, the trunk area, they call it. And when they mean trunk, they mean abdominal, this area. In case Mike's listening and he's confused about that. I was listening last time. If you guys didn't listen to the last call that Allison did, she talked about weight loss in the trunk area, and her husband Mike thought that was like trunk, like your backside. So anyways, I digress. So what was really interesting too, which I kind of missed along, I don't know how I missed this, but the 2 capsules that they recommend is just kind of a good, recommended dosage, but it is dose dependent. And so if you increase the dosage, you increase the benefits. So some people are taking 3 a day or more. So whatever floats your boat. Um, the mechanism of action is kind of technical, so I'll just go over it really fast. But the bottom line is you're breaking down free fatty acids into energy, into heat. And we do it the way the sinotrol works is it inhibits an equation or a coenzyme called PDE. And when you decrease PDE, it increases cyclic AMP, which increases the uncoupling of proteins, which affects your ratio of that brown or beige fat, which is the healthier fat that breaks down calories and increases your metabolism and leads to more free fatty acids being broken down. So the bottom line is it's not really just activating, it's actually slowing down a part that's inhibiting fat breakdown. So we're kind of removing that inhibiting step that slows down the breakdown of fat. So that's good. So that's how it works. And you don't have to remember all that. It's just kind of a different mechanism of action. And it was an interesting thing to learn. So that's about it for the fat burn. I was just hoping that if you guys had any goals for No Gain November, that you would share them with us. We've got about 4 minutes. So if you have any crazy butterfly effect stories or any goals that you would like to share, either put them in the chat or feel free to jump on here and share your fat burn November goals and your health goals for the season. I know we're all about preparing for the winter and being our healthiest version instead of packing on the pounds, feeling yucky, and then trying to regroup and start over in January, because that's not that reactive plan is not the best. So we're all about being proactive. But thank you all for being on here. And if you have any No Gain November goals you'd like to share with me, I'm trying to think what mine are. Mine are more than no gain. I'm actually kind of looking at a good 5% body fat weight loss. Sounds like an awesome goal. So I'm going to shoot for that. And I am going to try to exercise more and eat better in conjunction with my fat burn.
Alice, where did you get all those awesome facts? What interview was that?
It was a talk between, what's her name? Is it Lisa, the VP of Research and Development? Lisa Barnes.
Was
She
it
did
on
an interview. It was on Activating You. I think Kamiley might have shared it on Activating You.
Okay.
And then I saw it on something else too, but that's where I found it last.
I love that.
Yeah, it was about 28 minutes, but it was really good.
Cool. Well,
I
my
think I have,
goal.
I'm sorry. I think I might have some slides with some of that info if you need them.
Cool. Yeah, I'll definitely go check that out. And that's good. I like hearing all that. And I'm gonna bump mine to 3. I started right after Global, and I haven't really changed much of, well, actually, I just recently made another change, but I haven't really changed much of anything. I will say I like went to a wedding last weekend. I ate terrible. I didn't gain any weight though. So I've maintained, but I haven't lost any. But I want to lose at least 5 pounds. But I just started the end of last week doing the intermittent fasting. So I'm going to try to do the 16-hour fast, and then so I'm going to try to do that. Which is not too bad considering you're sleeping most of the time. But I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to, I think, bump up. I didn't realize you could take more than 2, if that was, I was kind of wondering about that. If you do it twice a day, or, because I'm just doing 2 capsules once a day right now.
Yeah, he sounded like he was taking 3 once a day. He would take it in the morning at 10 a.m.
So it's better to once a day than twice a day, you think?
That's what he said, but
Okay.
he didn't really specify. And they said you don't have to take it with food. So if you take it on empty stomach, that's fine, as long as that doesn't upset your stomach. So if you're fasting and you don't want to break your fast, you can still take it in the morning with your other things.
Cool.
Yeah. So, but I think the intermittent fasting is awesome too. That's always helped me. I just feel less bloated. I feel like my body actually needs a longer period of rest from eating.
Yeah,
So
me
that
too.
sounds awesome. I'll be right there with you. We can compare our trunk area.
I need to lose the junk in the front trunk.
Yes. Junk in the front trunk. I love it. Anybody else? You got any junk trunk front trunk to share with us?
Well, I am with you, Allison. I just ordered mine today. I'm a little bit late to the party. But I'm hoping to lose 5 pounds in the first month that, that I'm on it, and we'll see what happens.
That sounds
Me
good.
too. I'd like to lose 5 pounds by the end of the year.
Okay.
Carol, if you lose 5 pounds, you might blow away.
You're so funny. But you know what? Seriously, when I came back, I said to the girls in the office, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And so I said, let's do it together. And I don't even work for the same company. They just are in the same building. So they ordered it. And so they ordered it November 1st, both of them. So we're doing it together and we talk about it. Like, did you measure, And so it's kind of fun because we made it fun.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
It's so good to do it together. I feel like we have accountability partners, strength in numbers.
Yeah.
I love it. We're gonna lose, so we're looking at around 5% or 5 pounds. We'll have to add it all up when it's all said and done.
I want a 6-pack. Ha ha ha.
Okay, me too. I think I have one. It's just under a lot of stuff. Under
I'm a
trunk.
6-pack. That's
junk,
what I said.
front.
It's just well covered.
Yeah, mine's nice and padded, but it's under there somewhere. I'm much stronger than I used to be, so it's baby steps. Well, thank you, you guys. I think it's time. If nobody else wants to share, we can go ahead and wrap up the call. Thank you all for listening to my stories today. And if you haven't listened to Andy Andrews, I did post in our Facebook page one of Andy Andrews's talks on the butterfly effect, and it's just crazy. The story, he's such an amazing storyteller, and it just gives you chills. So if you've got 10 minutes or 13 minutes or however long it is, I highly recommend it. So thank you all. Have a great
Thanks,
night, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks,